for the purpose to ensure that every person or every bidder in King County has access to the same information you will receive today. Go ahead, I'm gonna go and admit one more person in here. Great. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Swamir Sprino Disman. I am King County MIDD, or Mental Illness and Drug Dependency Unit Community Partnerships Manager. My job is really to build community around MIDD grants. I also oversee a number of initiatives, including the initiative that we're going to be discussing today, which is called the Community Driven Behavioral Health Initiative, or the Community Driven Behavioral Health Grant. For the purpose of this conversation, we're going to be providing you information associated with the RFP that is now there is a slide, so you are now should already have that information. If you don't have that information of the RFP, put your email in the chat box. I will send you the blog post that was created and that contains the Zoom information or the grant information for this session. Now, you also today will be hearing from a colleague, Andrea Howerton, who is also on the line. She is she's the guru of everything procurement from Kern County, and she's my guide. She's the person that really tells me I'm going the right direction or the wrong direction with the work that we're doing. And she's also the person that makes sure that we followed all the different protocols and procedures associated with with any type of procurement process in King County. Andrea, do you want to say hi real quick?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Perfect.
I'll be recording all the Q&A that happens today, and that will be posted on ZoomGRANTS after this meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea will also is the person who will carry this RFP from the very beginning to the very end until we make a standard recommendation. Now, to get us started, just for to give you an idea of what you'll be discussing today, we'll be talking about and giving you some background of MIDD, or what's called the Mental Illness or the Drug Dependency Unit at the Department of Community and Human Services. Also, we're going to review the overview of the request for proposal, the RFA, that is now public and you have. We should talk about equity considerations around our work. We'll review the criteria, eligibility criteria, but also the review criteria that we will be they will be applying for this RFP. We'll also discuss some grants and what the system does. Andrea will walk us through what that looks like and how to ask for support and those things that may arise from using technology in the current age. Timeline, we'll also discuss what are the next steps and answer questions, any questions that you may have. I don't want to say warning, but I want to give it a notice is that please ask any questions you may have. There's some questions that we're going to refer to. We're going to write you an answer. Other ones that we provide you an answer here today, or there may be that the questions perhaps we're unable to answer that question because it may give an unfair advantage over the applicants. Okay, so now to get us started, if you don't know MIDD, now you're gonna know MIDD. MIDD is also known as the local 1% or 0.1% behavioral health tax fund. So for every dollar somebody spends in King County, 1 cent of those dollars goes into this behavioral health tax funds, and it generates approximately $70 million annually, and it's approved in a biennium budget process through King County Council. Now, we have 5 different strategies that really guides our different work, that really talks about early intervention and prevention, diversions of crisis, recovery and reentry, system improvement, therapeutic support, and we also have 5 policy goals that kind of govern or kind of oversee the different funding structures, the different initiatives. MIDD has over 50 some initiatives throughout King County. One of these initiatives is the one that we're going to be discussing today. And all of these initiatives fall with one of these 5 policy goals. For the purpose of these community-driven behavioral health grants, it falls within the policy goal number 3 that looks at increasing culturally appropriate trauma-informed behavioral health services, which is kind of as always with the team of this procurement is really looked at providing or increasing the access to or the utilization of culturally and linguistically appropriate behavioral health services, specifically by BIPOC and LGBTQ communities in King County. So we actually have expanded to this year to include and specifically ask for applications that seek to provide services to LGBTQ communities throughout King County, again, through that trauma-informed behavioral health context to really meet the needs of BIPOC communities and LGBTQ communities in King County. Now, as the overall purpose of the RFP, yes.
Swamirs, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but someone had asked if you could do closed captions. And Andrea was suggesting that you are the only, you could.
Oh, sorry, y'all. Hannah, I was just going ready up presenting. Let's see.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure.
No, actually, 1 second.
Do you know if the Zoom has that functionality?
Yeah, I just need to set it
I
up.
think only the presenter can turn that on. So there we go.
Okay, perfect. So now everybody, can somebody confirm you have the live the transcript functions in your end?
Yeah, has been able. Who can see the? Yeah, I don't know how it works though.
The live, it looks like live transcript is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, it's on, enabled, it's on. So if looks like Manik, are you giving me a thumbs up that you're seeing it?
Okay.
It looks like we're confirming.
Yes,
perfect.
yes, I see it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a setting out there. If you need help, let Andrea or Robin know, and we'll help you there. Thank you very much both for flagging that. Now that we are again back in motion, we'll discuss that we have 5 different MIDD initiatives, and all of them falls within all of their 5 MIDD policies, and we have 50 some MIDD initiatives. All of them fall within one of these policy goals. For the purpose of this funding, we're looking to increase culturally appropriate trauma-informed behavioral health services for Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. And in addition to that, this year we have expanded to specifically ask for applications or projects that seek to provide trauma-informed behavioral health services, whether culturally and linguistically appropriate, to people, to LGBTQ communities in King County. Now, moving us forward, kind of the overarching purpose of this RFP is really to increase the awareness about behavioral health services throughout King County. We want to make sure the communities of color are aware of the different behavioral health services available to them, how to access those services and support people through the process. We also want to seek and build communities of support capacity. Want to integrate the system level learning process into the planning levels of projects at the community level. We also intend to build capacity of community-based responses to existing gaps that is happening in our communities. We also recognize the need for culturally and linguistically responsive services, and acknowledge that communities are in best position to identify and respond to needs in their communities. And this is something that is important to MIDD, and something that actually as a reason why we were able to expand this funding is because of the great need for the MIDD and DCHS BHERD has recognized the need for communities to best respond to their needs are for us to empower their communities to create programs that best meet their needs, and is designed by community level thinking and system, and while we're still looking at learning and integrate learning into the larger system level planning and the work that is happening in behavioral health throughout King County. Now, some of the projects that we are seeking, and I think that we want to be very, very kind of open and accepting any an application that seeks to provide behavioral health services. But these are perhaps some general ideas that we would like to see, whether integrated as part of your project, was as the project itself, is both as the integration or providing culturally and linguistically appropriate behavioral health education and awareness campaigns to reduce the stigma, shame, or any feelings associated with receiving behavioral health services or seeking behavioral health services. Wanted to see a developing of culturally and linguistically appropriate outreach programs. They are a community-specific focus, whether if you understand that one specific community in one area of King County is struggling with disconnections as a result of COVID or whatever that looks like and needs additional resources for that. That could be something that we want to look at, making sure that we are putting enough, that we're putting investments out there for education around behavioral health but also expand the availability of services. We're also looking at strengthening partnerships with faith-based communities and or other relevant organizations and communities and community-based assets. This is important to us. We're not saying that we want to make sure that we are leveraging the different ways that people are seeking help, whether if there's from a spiritual based help or behavioral health based help. I want to make sure that we're connecting those two as we understand the faith is important for and the recovery process. Also looking at providing culturally and linguistically appropriate mental health and substance use services for BIPOC and or LGBTQ communities in King County. This is very important as looking at we're going to make the funding decisions and looking at make sure that we have a diversification of services in between outreach and engagement to perhaps the campaigns to the actual services. So we want to see a combinations of those, and whether if a project can address one of these one or two of these issues at the same time, that would be I think that will be seen very well in our end to ensure that we are leveraging all the multiple ways that you as community partners have in order for you to achieve those goals or the intended purpose of the work that we're intended to do. Now, continuing to another ideas I wanted to give you is that perhaps I wanted to look at a project that look at supporting the behavioral health system and information referrals, whether if it is we're looking at doing SUD assessments and providing referrals to people, whether if we're doing behavioral health assessments and then helping people connect to the resources or health navigators, whatever that looks like. We really want to make sure that we are also leveraging the different multiple systems of care that are in King County. Also, we're looking at engaging youth through any way possible, any way that we can recognize with youth, whether this is training, support for youth-led behavioral health programming. We're looking also, there's some cool integration, whether if you can integrate something, your project with another MIDD project, for example. This has been proven successful in the past for us, where we're, I don't want to mention any, but it'll be important to see whether if you can leverage your project with another MIDD project to ensure that we are leveraging other different projects that are out there and different services being provided to use. So we offer them with a different variety of services that meets their needs. This year, we also kind of wanted to expand to acknowledge the different the challenges that COVID has brought into our community, and one of those challenges it is the increase of violence, especially the interfamiliar violence, the domestic violence, human trafficking, commercial sexual exploitation of children, and other issues related to exploitation has arisen during this time. So we are looking to whether see if there are projects out there that look into something and to meet the needs of people who have experienced any of exploitation as a result of the COVID-19 situation, or any person that just are seeking behavioral health services due to their trauma. Now, We have a number of desired outcomes. We have kind of separated these into levels. These are into these outcomes and our community level outcomes. So however you want to kind of leverage these two levels of outcomes, it's really up to you as the applicant to do that. But I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what we're looking at for here. I wanted to look to increase access to and utilization of evidence-based behavioral health services and resources. We're really looking at making sure that we're also using the larger behavioral health system to meet the complex needs of people that they require medication or additional support, that we are leveraging the additional system to increase the realization and access to the larger system. We also look to improve the knowledge and awareness of behavioral health services and resources throughout King County, whether if this is campaigns or anything, outreach and engagement, whatever that looks like. We really want to see unique ideas, something new. What are you doing to reach the needs of people? They're looking to really expand on the messaging, on ways that we're messaging to our community. Also wanted to increase the support for BIPOC and LGBT communities to address isolation and lack of community as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is very important, as we know that communities of color, as Latino, I know that my family, my community is very communal. We like to live together, and right now during the COVID-19 situation, just that community, the lack of community, we lost that community. So it's very important. So we look to address that isolation and to really reconnect to our community as we start thinking of what a new normal looks like for our communities in general. Now, perhaps, yes.
We have one question in the chat, I think relates to these slides before you move on. Is this RFP for collaborative partnerships or just solo RFP submissions? And if yes, change the RFP max from 55 to 110.
We recommend that we're looking for solo RFPs for these submissions. I think that other app, if you do have a partner, another partner, if you're seeking to provide specific service in different communities, or whether if you do have a partner that they have their own scope of work, we can do that, but I think they would have to submit their own application as a solo, and within the application, just call out the relationship they have and their own merits for their application. And unfortunately, just because of the small funding, wanted to make sure that we are able to reach as many communities as possible and as many organizations as possible as well. Also, this is also worth noting that this funding actually, it is an expansion of funding that was already earmarked. So now it used to be $750,000, 700 and 500. Oh my goodness. $1.5, I don't know, $500,000, roughly a little over that. Now is $1.5 million every biennium. So that really gives us the ability to expand those projects right now, but also as we move into 2023. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Yes, Ria, Red.
There's a follow-up question real quick.
Okay.
So collaborative, but each collaborative partner needs to submit their own RFP.
That is correct. Their own application, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Now, moving us forward, now looking at community level outcomes, we wanted to see whether if you can incorporate this as part of your application, looking at the desired outcomes, but also the community-based outcomes, whether if you can also achieve this through your work. Look at reducing stigma around behavioral health services by taking strength-based approaches, and really looking at acknowledging that the people are in best positions to work on themselves, but really we're there to help people navigate the process, and but really building on the strengths of people rather than their deficits. We're looking at providing or improve cultural social connectedness, inclusion, and community well-being, especially in communities of color. Also look to increase access to care and support, where we or organization folks know in their communities where and how to ask and when to ask to support. And also in creating a shared vision of what the community looks that galvanizes partners to take action and really does amazing work to increase access to and utilization of services in their community. Also wanted to see increased training and capacity building across systems and community prevention strategies around behavioral health services. Now, something exciting that kind of happened that we're kind of launching with these and really looking at expanding the way the MIDD fosters collaboration and partnerships. Over the last 2 years or a year and a half since I've been in my position, we have been listening to partners throughout rural areas, throughout different communities of colors, throughout different communities, whether it was from Southeast King County, Northeast, whatever that looks like. We were really hearing intentionally kind of gathering feedback from providers and from people in general. One of the biggest themes that we heard, not only from providers, but also from people, it was work with my organization, with my provider, so they can work together with my other providers, right? And providers, they were asking, hey, like we really want to, we want the county to foster those, to include this place of collaboration, to foster these collaborations and really to seek partnerships in a way, right? So given just the aspects of funding, and here actually let me break some of these down for you. Is that the grants are $55,000 in total. $50,000 is actually your grant. $5,000 is actually your funding for that FTE or for that one person, for the person who is managing their project, to participate in what's called a community-owned behavioral health collaborative. These behavioral health collaboratives are going to take place in by different regions, and perhaps a lot of this is really, once we bring on the different providers, we're going to design what this is going to look like, because we want it to be really a process or the space of providers talking to providers, developing processes for them to understand each other's services, for them to refer refer to each other's, but also develop mutual kind of reading partnerships, MOAs and MOUs through this space that will be created through us. So these funding will bring on about 6 providers, we believe, at this point. However, we are also bringing on all of our 2020 grantees. 2021 grantees will also be asked to participate in this collaborative. So we're going to leverage a network of about, I would say we have 12 different agencies through the Community Behavioral Health Initiative, plus the six. And there's also other separate community-owned behavioral health collaboratives that are taking place in rural areas. So we're going to be able to leverage a network of providers throughout rural King County and urban areas in King County to really give the best partnerships and best space possible to you as a provider to develop a partnership or solution for a family, perhaps that you're working in North King County, but you're in South King County. You need to find, or I'm particularly interested in vetting my partners, right? Whether if you can vet your partners and make sure that they are aligned with your vision, or you can trust them with making sure that you make a referral. So we really want to create a space when you create that trust, when you create that, where you can create these those partnerships and formalize those partnerships, perhaps, and continue advancing the work that you do in your community, and leveraging the network of providers receiving funding through these initiatives. So these are some of the topics that at this point we're looking to to discuss. Again, I wanted to say that these are TBD because we really want to ensure that you as the providers, as the grantees, or as the resulting grantees, are the ones designing this agenda, designing what this conversation looks like, and with our support, and also leveraging the MIDD team as that team to support you and creating these collaboratives and formalizing partnerships, relationships, and ultimately for the best outcome of our communities. So these are, to me, it's exciting because, to us, I think all of us at MIDD is exciting because they give us the opportunity to directly respond to what our community have asked for, but also not to ask it for free, right? Your funding actually includes that, and be able, our current funding levels actually aligns with the 2021 funding levels. So to be kind of equal to all and kind of keep the same funding consistency, all of the 2021 agencies will actually just receive a small economic adjustment to their contracts for they're also to be compensated to participate in these meetings. So again, this is really taking, we also, there's many things why we're doing this, but a lot has to do with the need for providers to build those partnerships, but not only with behavioral health services, but also with the community service providers, other service providers. They are supporting people with other experiences where you could also leverage their support and their networks of services and support your communities in achieving and getting the services they need. So we can answer, let's see, is there any questions that I need to, oh yes, let's see.
There's a few questions.
Okay.
Did you want me to read it?
Yes, please, that would be great.
Okay, first question. So the 2021 partners will provide their feedback and tips on their work for the scope of work that was awarded to roughly 12 orgs and partners. Will their awarded narratives and budgets be accessible to us now or only after we are awarded for this scope?
So each project, the way that we award with grants is that each project itself will have its own a scope of work, right? So they have their own scope of work. The new grantees, as your applicant, when you and we design a scope of work. The other grantees, we already have designed the scope of work. The only thing we're doing is that we are increasing their funding just by a small amount. We did a calculation based on the federal rate of like contracts at $31 times the number of hours that we believe you're going to be in meetings or associated with anything the collaborative, and then we came out with that amount, and that is how we make the transition between instead of $50,000 grants to $55,000 grants to give you the funding amount, but also the $5,000 for you to participate in those meetings, and mostly to participate and really have allocated the FTE and time for people to participate, basically. So, did that answer your question? I feel like maybe maybe we can. Can we also take this? We'll also take this one back with me, Red, and we'll write back to you. Kind of just make sure that whether if I answer that correctly, if I just need a little bit more to you. Is that okay? Andrea, do you want to go to the next question?
Sure. The next question is, so can we apply for 50,000 max for the agency specific work and 5,000 for the participation in the collaborative?
You do the application itself is for $55,000. Is there an expectation that every agency that is part of us participate in there? So when we are agreeing on the scope of work, we kind of talk about the $50,000 as the ground level, and then the $5,000, or the other $5,000 have to be looked at kind of FTE and how many hours there will be as part of the to participate in the collaborative, and then from there we can then you can design your budget internally on how you kind of use those $5,000 or what rate you're going to apply internally to all that.
And then Red clarified her question. You shared that past awardees would be involved and collaborative in this process. How does that process look? Is it working groups? Is it specific channel or platforms or collaboration with past and present awardees?
Thank you. Yes. So for now, the plan is, and again, I think that we're trying to give you some vague answer just because we want to say to you, you as the resulting grantees will be the one making sure at the very beginning that you help us define what this looks like for us, because this is your space. Right. However, what we envision right now, and what perhaps will come into a table and say, hey, this is a couple ideas, are to host these meetings in a quarterly basis on or through a Zoom platform, or whether if at that time conditions change and we are in the county, those accept perhaps in-person meetings, that we'll have an in-person meeting there, but we're not saying that at this moment. We're saying all online, but we're also looking at creating other spaces, right? Like platforms, whether if we look at SharePoint link where we have all of the different resource lists in there, or the contact information for the different providers, or whatever that looks like, right? Whether maybe we'll put also there some examples of MOUs and MOAs, working examples and documents that you could use in order for the work that you will be doing as part of the collaborative, or on behalf of the collaborative. So, yes, Jenny, we'll be posting that question. Andrea, can we post the answer to Red's question on Zoom?
Yes, all questions and answers that are talked about today will be in written form as an amendment to the RFP and Zoom grants.
Thank you very much, Andrea. You see, this is what she's awesome. Helps my answer. Perfect. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I appreciate. We're trying to be as transparent and open to this process because it's your process, and it will be to us. It will be I don't know. It wouldn't be to the spirit of MIDD and the spirit that we're trying to bring on with this collaboration, not to be transparent, and also to know that this is for you to own this process, not us. We just happen to have the additional bit of funding. They're able to make the space and create the opportunity for you to be there. So thank you all for that. I'm going to keep us moving just because of time, and also make sure that we answer any other questions that come up. Actually, Andrea, this is yours, right? Wait, no.
Was I starting at 13 or 11?
Thank you. I'm sorry. Like because of the live transcripts, I can't see my slides. So yes, this is 11. So I have 2 more slides, folks. So this is a competitive application process, and I will say that we're looking for applications that really kind of take a little bit of everything that we kind of have to share in here, and kind of see whether if it is if you can address if a small scale project can address some of these, and perhaps you can address some of those desired outcomes and community desired outcomes, and in looking at these aspects, right? But we're also looking at community successes. What collaborations you can speak to, right? Like we are, and for given the funding, we're not bringing on those 2 partners and 1 application just because we wanted to make sure we also diversify the funding. We want to make sure that you speak about your collaborations in the community, and if you do have collaborations, if you want to request maybe a letter of I don't know, a letter of somebody saying, hey, we know this agency, they do great work, please do that. I think that's what we're looking from here, is to you to tell us the history you have of community success and in collaborations that you bring to the table. We also look for in applications or projects that look to address community needs for identified programs or projects, right? So where the community itself has come up and designed these and says, hey, we're looking for these. That is something that we are very, very interested on, whether it's a particular community of color, the design and a specific approach or a specific way of discussing or talking about behavioral health services. They want to put it forward, and they want to, and they're asking you to be their partner. Please, by all means, elevate that voice and bring that forward to us. We're looking also to community leadership and engagement in both the development and implementation of a program or project. This is important for us, folks. I think if you can, in your application, talk to us, let us know. I think that, I don't know, I don't want to give an unfair advantage to anybody, right? But I would say one of the biggest things that we're really looking for is for you to explain to us, talk to us about your community, how involved you are in your community, the work that you have been able to be in community, talk to you about your past successes, talk to us in a format that give us examples on how you will bring all those skills, on ways that you have negotiated or support a community to uplift them in some way, and you can use that expertise to then bring on this project and uplift that community or do something exciting and new. Please do that. Bring to us and have community be part of this project at every level possible, if possible at all. So those are what the most competitive applications will bring to us. Is really, again, the leveraging everything that we kind of just went through and kind of that excitement that it brings, and also just the greatness that talk to us. Don't be shy to talking about your success, but talk to us about your success in a format that tell us how you use your success to bring and be successful at this project. Tell us, tell us your story. That is important to us. Now, when we're looking at available funding, we're looking at in 2022, and this is a big caveat there is we're looking, or this is pending county council by, my goodness, I'm gonna miss it. Robin, can you say that word again? The whole omnibus.
The second omnibus. So just to clarify, we, as Swamirs mentioned, we doubled the amount of money in our community-driven behavioral health grants. So he mentioned now it will be about 750 per year, 750K per year. Right now, we're just doing this for the 2022. So we got an additional 350 or so thousand for this year. And then in the next biennium, it will probably become 2-year grants, potentially with, we'll be looking at what makes more sense. And I do think the collaborative piece, I would just speak a little bit about that. And our hope with that is really to basically amplify the voice of community-driven, community-owned behavioral health initiatives, so that it creates an opportunity by bringing folks together who are doing similar work that it typically falls outside of the more traditional Medicaid kind of model, fee-for-service, and really starts helping others understand that there's a lot of different ways to provide behavioral health in our communities, and then how can the Behavioral Health Recovery Division and MIDD actually partner to help build capacity and knowledge around the behavioral health system. So we're hoping it will be kind of a mutually beneficial project.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. So yeah, so right, all of that awesomeness that is happening. So there is a lot of momentum for the work that you do, and to be honest, I think it's very exciting for us, and it's really really important. I do want to clarify, because I do see Red's question, and Red says on top of this, we'll talk to you sometime, Red. So this grant, all of our process are through grants and RFPs. So all of our current funding, including this grant, will expire on December 31st, 2022. That means that in December, at the end of December 2022, I'm sorry, at the end of that year, I'll be working on releasing another RFP, for which every agency, every provider would have to apply to either continue their project or expand their project or do something differently. But what we're saying here is that now is, instead of just having $350,000 a year, we have $750,000 a year. Wait, no, 700. Oh my goodness, I keep getting that number wrong. 750 to 500,000. There you go, something like that. I'm like all over the place today, folks. So it's very important to know that that is what we mean. So this funding will not be extended. So you have to reapply and be rewarded a new scope of work. But your current scope of work will end on December 31st, 2022. That is correct, Brad. Yes. Perfect. So again, currently what we have right now is we have $330,000 through this funding. We're going to make other small grants available to make sure that we are geographically put in everywhere possible through this funding. So right now we have mid-sized grants up to $550 or $55,000 for 1-year project for at least 6 projects we're looking at this time. And again, your project itself is $50,000, $5,000 of that is kind of set aside for that collaborative meeting. That is all your money. It's more just the way that you create it or build it in your budget kind of has to be. It's just a little separate from the $50,000 of the project itself. Okay. So, Andrea, this is your time.
Yes, thank you. I am monitoring the chat if you haven't noticed. So if you guys do have questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and we're recording all this stuff down. Okay, so here's the timeline for the RFP. It was released on the 19th last week, and right now we're having the pre-application conference. Your questions are due to me by November 15th, and that's any written questions on top of the ones that we talk about today. And we'll try to get those all posted either before or on November 19th on ZoomGrants. And I'll also send out a notice through ZoomGrants saying that those are posted. All the applications will be due on November 30th at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time sharp. Then the evaluation period will be between December 1st and the 23rd. We are hoping and anticipating to announce awards before the holidays, with the award start date starting next year on January 15th. If these dates do change, again, we'll post that as an amendment to the RFP, and I'll send out a notification through ZoomGrants. To be eligible to apply for this RFP, it's open to any community health boards, coalitions, non-for-profit organizations, community-based organizations, tribes, and tribal organizations located within King County. However, the MIDD is encouraging small and recently established agencies to apply, especially ones that have not historically received funding from King County. We really encourage anyone to apply. And if you have any questions about any part of this process, please do not hesitate to reach out through ZoomGrants or through my email, which will be on the very last slide here. Due to BHERD's decision, we will be giving some small preference to organizations that are already currently contracted as a behavioral health provider on the King County Integrated Care Network. And if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me and we can determine whether you are or not. If you did already receive, or your organization already received funding for the 2021-2022 RFP that was released last year, then you are not eligible for this funding in this RFP, but will be for the next one in 2023, correct? Okay, yeah.
That is correct.
So again, applications are due on November 30th at 2:30 p.m. That's when it will close on ZoomGrants. And the complete submittals will include summary questions, narrative questions, a complete budget, and then any supporting documents that are included with the application. And ZoomGrants does have a really nice feature that once you hit submit, it'll tell you submit really big, or it'll tell you if there's anything missing in your application before it is finally submitted, and then date stamp that for you. Date and timestamp. This is a high-level breakdown of how each application will be scored by our review team. So the organizational description was worth 10 points. Project description is worth up to 50. ESJ is worth up to 25. Here is where the preference of the KCICN is worth 5 points. And then the budget submittal is worth 10 for a total of 100 maximum points. And if you look at the RFP document, it gives you a more detailed breakdown of how the review works.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it a lot.
No problem.
Let's see. Looks like there's a question. As a system partner who would be just contributing in-kind services to support a CBA, applying for this, is it sufficient that we and our scope of scope of contribution are written into the application. We will not be receiving money from the project. Yes, actually, that would be something that you may do through the, you may submit an MOU and an MOA, perhaps that's part of your submittal, where you can make, or a letter of support where you can make a specific pledge or specific scope of work that would be part of the in-kind service of the application. So it has to be explained in the application itself of how you're leveraging or contributing with somebody else to bring the in-kind and kind of come up with the scope. But also, I would recommend including a letter of support or an actual MOU and MOA that kind of outlines your relationship and support to make sure that there, I think to us, want to make sure that there is that contractual relationship that we will make sure that the in-kind service or the in-kind support will be offered. Yeah, perfect. Great. So now, so all the materials are posted on ZoomGrants. You see it now. So if you have any questions, do let us know, and we'll make sure you get all that. All of the applications must be filled out and submitted through via ZoomGrants. If you do, please check everything. Please make sure you submit on time or ahead of time, so you aren't caught in any technical issues. If you do have any technical issues and you need support, please contact Andrea Haverton through DCHS contracts at kingcounty.gov as soon as possible and let her know, hey, I'm having problems with ZoomGrants. She will either let you know how to troubleshoot or let you know where to go to get the correct help. Also, through ZoomGrants, there is an admin tab to which you can send a message directly to Andrea there. And also, again, last reminder, you have until 9th of November to ask your questions. So we kind of have reached the end of our presentation in here, but we want to open it up to see if there are any questions that we can answer to you other than the ones that we saw in the chat box today. Okay. I'll take silence as a good thing. There's things like we didn't leave you with any answer. We didn't leave you with any questions. That we leave you with perhaps more content and good stuff to move forward. If questions do come up, though, reach out to Andrea and do let us know how we can best provide you an answer that will help you be a successful applicant. So thank you all very much. I appreciate you. Thanks, Red. We'll have to meet one day. You're really on top of everything. Appreciate you. Thank you all.
And I'll be sure to have this recording and all the Q&A up sometime this week, and I'll send out a notice to everybody when it's there on ZoomGrants.
Thank you.